enter one and pass the cloudy door where wonderful things will happen that the world has never seen before.
In Dexter's laboratory lives the dopest nerd you've ever seen. One day he smoked some cannabis and had a dream. What if he could sesh with fandom's best in Dexter's Dab?
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdy Stoner Podcast with your favorite huggable stone nerd, Dexter, aka Stash Token. It's been a minute, but we're back here, y'all. Got another amazing guest to interview. My friend Troy here that I got to meet at Katsucon. In case you haven't seen his video that I got to, or his interview that I got to do with him there, he had some words to say about Batman. Unfortunately, they got cut off, so hopefully we'll get to hear some of those today. But he is an affiliate of RexCo Comics, which is actually putting out something really dope really soon called Afro Futures. But before we jump into that, I'm going to let Troy introduce himself and tell you a little bit about him.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Troy Jeffrey Allen. I am the co-owner of RexCo Comics, which is a publishing. I'll say actually a studio that me and my buddy Nick Allen started back in 2016 for our book Fight of the Century, and we've been getting a lot of contract work ever since then. So we've been putting some of our stuff up on there. We've worked on stuff like we did an MF Doom comic, an officially licensed Public Enemy comic. We got an officially licensed ODB comic coming up in a couple months, and that's going to drop in November, I think it is. And yeah, Afro Futures is primarily what I'm here to talk about because that's going to be on Kickstarter soon.
Nice. All right, let's actually go ahead and get that presented out there.
Yeah, let's dive in. I'm actually very proud of this because I did this by myself, this lookbook that you guys are seeing. And I had of course, I'm working with artists on this, and all the artists was like, "Man, that came out really nice." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'm glad I was able to pull that off."
Yes, I've had an opportunity to look through this, and it has some amazing, dope artwork. Like, I can't wait for him to tell y'all about this because I can't wait to hear more about it.
Yes.
But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive in.
Yeah.
So, now, who is this character again?
So this is actually from one of our other RexCo titles called Speeders. It's by an artist by the name of Mervyn McCoy. Mervyn is the co-creator of one of the characters that you'll see soon, called 808, who's actually the host of Afro Futures. So I guess the short version is Afro Futures is a comic book magazine, a comics magazine, thinking much more in the vein of Heavy Metal or Mad or Metal Hurlant, something more along those lines. And so it's going to be an anthology of sorts where you get a bunch of different stories in one book. Three of those stories are written by me. And then there are 4 more stories written by the creators. And then each story has a different artist. And so the idea is, because it's called Afro Futures, of course, it leans into Afrofuturism, right? And so the idea is that we're going to be expanding in all sorts of directions. We're not going to be affixed to one genre. We're going to be tackling several genres. Some stuff in there will be slice of life story. We got a cool story about Lee Strawberry that has a little bit of that. Some stuff is going to be fantasy. There's a really cool Jay Dilla story. There's actually a fantasy story, which I'm actually really excited to talk to you guys about. But then, I've got my big dumb superhero action adventure story in there, and it's wonderfully violent.
I love that description. Wonderfully violent.
Wonderfully violent. It's something I've been waiting to do for a very long time. And yeah, the host of the book is a character named 808, who that artist on that page right there, Mervyn McCoy, also designed.
Nice. And speaking of 808, I believe they are up next. Nope. But this is awesome right here.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is the one.
The detail, just everything about it. I stared at this for like a good 5 minutes, just taking it in, and just, oh my God, it's just beautiful.
Good. No,
Yeah.
this is by an artist named Bliss Studios. Bliss Studios has been very popular on social media, and he's done a lot of great work. He's actually working on the Jay Dilla story with a writer by the name of Erica Hardison, who's an editor who runs Fabulous magazine and a couple other things. Um, yeah, like as you can see, he has a very in-your-face style, and I'm not trying to make it funny because of the fact it's you look at someone's girls, right? But yeah, like and yeah, I'm some of the stuff I'm seeing character sheets now, and I'm very excited for how this is going to come out. But this, what you're looking at, is actually the cover. This is one of the covers for Afro Futures, and
Nice.
it was originally going to be probably a retailer a retailer cover, but the way that people are responding to it, I might switch it up on them. I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely dope. Like, just
Hmm.
oh my god, everything about it. The
Yeah.
grills, the gold teeth, just everything.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So here's just a little bit more about Afro Features, everything that you actually already mentioned.
Hmm.
Here we go.
808. There she is. Yeah. So 808, so the concept behind 808 is that she's basically the MC of our book, right?
Hmm.
And she's an MC in a conceptual way. Like when I was talking to people, the things I related it to is, imagine Tom from Toonami, right? Um,
I
you
was
know,
getting Tom vibes from her.
oh yeah, 100%. Tom from Toonami, but even also like she has she has influences that range from the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt, you know.
Ooh, okay.
And so there's all these different elements that are kind of factoring in here. And the idea is that she basically is a robot DJ. And so she's going to be emceeing the entire magazine from page to page to page. And so what you're getting is, a bunch of a combination of music and comics. And we're just kind of treating this entire magazine, every single issue is its own concept album. And so
Hmm.
the concept for issue one is collaboration. And that's because we're all amassing together, we're all coming together to make this thing that we hope will be very different for people.
Hmm.
This is the only non-black creator in the magazine. And it's only that way because I commissioned this like about like 4 years ago. I've been sitting on this for 4 years. But this is actually one of the covers for the book. And it's by a guy named ACO, who I'm a huge fan of. He's from Spain. And he just really brought the character to life. I gave him some loose concepts. 808 is a Vegas party droid. That's what we're calling her. And
Hmm.
she basically exists in the final days, or actually post-apocalyptic reality. So she was
Hmm.
kind of left behind by the humans. She was created for entertainment, right? For music, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, on the Vegas Strip. And she wakes up and all the humans are gone. And then our first story kind of starts there. And then we kind of dovetail into all the other stories in the magazine. So, but I absolutely love this cover. I think this cover is absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely, it's great, and if just looking at the background, I can kind of get a taste for some of what I'm going to be in store for, and some of
Mhm.
the stories that she's going to tell.
Yeah, and I mean, let me point out. I mean, I know this is the Nerdy Stoner podcast. I am definitely keeping smokers in mind, like potheads in mind. Like I'm a 20-year veteran myself, and so I just want to point out, man. Like if you look at this picture, you're going to see a lot of story in this picture, for that
Hmm.
reason. And you can see the evacuation ships in the background. Like if you're really paying
Hmm.
attention, you can see the crumbling Vegas sign, of course. There's just a lot of things happening here. And when I was talking to him about this, I was like, yeah, so this is the idea for the character, and this is the story I'm thinking about telling, which has kind of evolved a little bit since that conversation. But he put it all on the page, man, and I absolutely love it.
Like, just the way it all just blends together is
Yeah,
just, once again, it's another one of those pictures you can just like stare at forever and
forever.
always find something new to pick out.
Right, absolutely. Like I said, this is for the potheads. This is also for the potheads. This is definitely meant for a black readership. Our whole thing is that we're celebrating creative expression,
Hmm.
particularly black creative expression. But also, if you want to just experience something new and different, and truthfully, kind of counterculture, because that's also a huge influence on this magazine,
Hmm.
then get ready, because this is exactly what this is.
Nice.
Hmm.
Now this one,
Yeah.
I'm very very excited for this one.
Good.
The
Good. Good.
All Negro Squad.
Yes, sir.
Oh my god, just from the artwork alone, I'm just gotta come on, y'all.
Hmm.
Look at him. Look at him.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
taking down zombies, just
Yes.
amazingly. But I'll let you, walk us through here. Tell us about some of the characters, maybe what's going on in this situation right
I
here.
This is a story idea that I've had since 2012 when I went to the inaugural ball of Barack Obama. Like I went to the staff inaugural ball of Barack Obama. Let me also point that out.
Nice,
I didn't go to the one
nice.
with I didn't go to the one with Jay-Z and Beyonce, and I wasn't like rubbing elbows with Lady Gaga or anything like that. But I did go to the inaugural ball in 2012, and I've never done a superhero comic actually. So I've been making comics since 2008, and I have a small press independent background. And I've been fortunate enough in these truthfully last 3 years to kind of get picked up by several established, like a few established publishers over the course of time. But a lot of that has been on the back of my indie work. The Chuck D and ODB story, the Public Enemy and ODB stuff that I've done was because of a free MF Doom comic I made for the internet, like in 2020.
Mhm.
And so I say all that because um, the evolution of these things has gotten me to this point. And also another part of that is that I work for a distributor of comic books. That's my day job. And one of the perks is I get to talk to a lot of creators, and I got to get a pretty amazing education from some really well and established creators in the business. One of them being artist Nelson Blake. And my pitch for him was that like this story needs to be just balls to the wall. It needs to be the most insane thing that you could possibly experience. And I mean, if I had to equate it to something, I mean, when I told Nelson about it, I said I want to do. Are you familiar with the? Are you familiar with the Authority? It's a comic book
uh,
called The Authority,
I don't think I am.
or
No,
the Ultimates, for that matter.
the Ultimates, like
Yeah,
Marvel Ultimates.
the Marvel Ultimates. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So that's kind of the energy we're going for. It's like a big blowout superhero knockdown drag out fight. You're
Okay.
meeting these characters for the first time, but the beauty of this is that like these characters are all either public domain characters that have already existed, or they are the offspring of public domain characters that have already existed. And
Hmm.
so you'll see the older dude in the bottom with the revolver. That is Ace Harlem. He is actually a character that originated in 1947's All Negro Comics #1. So he's nearly like 100 years old at this point. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
I did the math wrong. There, I think he's like what that would be 70 years ago, right? Something like that. So John Henry is the one punching the politician in the face in the middle of the page.
Hmm.
And make no mistake, these are zombie politicians. That's the other part of this that is also pretty wild. So I brought up the inaugural ball because the story takes place in the inaugural ball of Barack Obama in 2012. And a huge part of that is the reason for that is because it was a perfect idea, a perfect setup for a story where a white militia tries to turn the entire ball into zombies. And basically, in our reality, Obama has, in our reality, superheroes do exist, vigilantes do exist. Like, and Ace is sort of like our Batman, the Shadow, Dick Tracy character. If I had to equate John Henry to something at this point in his life, he's more of a mythological figure, so almost more like Thor. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We've got Streetwise Hercules in the upper right corner, who's an original character of ours. And then we got Savannah, who is actually the daughter of Lion Man from All Negro Comics #1 as well. So we've got like a nice hodgepodge of things. You can expect celebrity characters in there. You can definitely expect all of them to turn into all the celebrities and all the politicians at the party turn into zombies. I'm
Nice.
sure there's a subtext there, and I'll let you come to your own conclusions though. And yeah, this is something I'm really excited about. I've legit been sitting on this for almost over a decade. So yeah, it's really great to see this come to fruition.
Nice. Nice. I'm
Mhm.
really excited to see it come out. Is
Yeah.
there any like sneak peeks type of stuff that you can tell us about, or is everything just kind of like hush hush right now?
So I'm probably telling you too much as is, but that's because I'm excited about it. But what we have been doing on the RexCo social media is we've been slowly revealing each character, right? So
Mhm.
the Nerdy Stoner crew is seeing like this image, which the internet has not seen. The rest of the internet has not seen yet. So yeah, this is so yeah, if you go to the RexCo Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, you will start to see videos introducing each character. And so that'll give you a little bit more insight. And then yeah, once the magazine drops, we're going to be really getting into the lore of this, because All Negro Squad is not meant to be a one-off. It's meant to be a reoccurring story, at the very least in Afro Futures, if not in its own book.
Okay, nice, nice. Do you think you might do like one shots for each character to like kind of introduce more about them, maybe their backstories, how
So the
they? I was just gonna say like how they became them.
Yeah, no. So the beauty of this, we're meeting them all like after they've gotten their powers, after they've gotten celebrity, like, et cetera,
Okay.
et cetera. But the beauty of this is that because we're telling a story, and the story really is about really about mythology, right? That's really what's at the base of the story. And so, in the mythology of the presidency, the mythology of celebrity, right? The mythology
Hmm.
of these individual characters at all as well. And the idea here is that, like, because of that, that's going to be a running theme in a lot of what we're going to be doing with these characters moving forward. And so what you're going to see is, we're going to be jumping backwards and forwards to tell different stories about these characters. We're going to give you a story about Savannah, like, Savannah when she was a kid and she first discovered her powers, right? We're going
Hmm.
to give you a story in the 80s of Streetwise Hercules getting his powers for the first time. And, he's very much more of a Barry Gordy's Last Dragon type of character, a Big Trouble in Little China type of character. You know what I mean? And so we get to have fun with that. We're going to be telling stories like detective stories with Ace, like in the 50s. We're going to do stories with him in the 60s. We're going to do stories where he like helps out the Black Panthers. Like, you know what I mean? So we're going to be doing a
Wow.
bunch of crazy stuff. And then, of course, we're going to do the story of John Henry and why he's still alive. Because, of course, in the Ballad of John Henry, he died, right? So there's a big mystery about why he came back to life and his role as the Obama's personal security. So definitely a lot of cool stuff to come forward.
Okay. I won't ask any more because I want to make sure we get to save some stuff for when the issues actually start dropping.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. There'll be questions, and I'm looking forward to all of them, because I think people have really people have responded to the magazine overall when I showed them the stuff. But yeah, this is the thing that like people just perk up when they see this image.
Nice.
Hmm.
All right. Josephine Baker.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This one seems like a nice, almost like spy thriller type of thing.
Yes, absolutely. So the deal with the Josephine Baker comic is this is something I've actually been sitting with even longer. I think I was in my late teens, early 20s when I found out that Josephine Baker worked alongside the French Resistance during the Second World War. And I am such a huge Indiana Jones mark. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love me some Indiana Jones. Not the last movie so much, but I do love Indiana Jones. Not, you know. And like, yeah, if you ever want to see a grown man get upset and probably like just rage quit, ask me questions about what they've done to Indiana Jones in the last few years. But that said, I've been dying to do an Indiana Jones type story, and this is probably the closest I've ever come to it. This is supposed to be a pulp adventure type thing where we're going to do in the first issues, we're going to introduce you to the status quo of Josephine Baker's super spy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the goal is that after this, we'll start doing stories where you really get to see the various adventures she's gone through over the decades, up until, of course, her passing away. So yeah, definitely Josephine Baker punching Nazis for sure.
Nice, nice. Is she
Hmm.
also gonna get into some like mystical type stuff like Indiana did as well?
So I'm not going to do that with her. Just
Okay.
because, and and the only reason I say that is because the more I've started to play with this, it was like, you know what, I kind of really enjoy just doing the spy stuff here. Like,
Hmm.
I'll do the mystical stuff over an all Negro squad. Like, you know what I mean?
Right, right.
But here I'm like, yeah, let's do the, like, she has cool gadgets and she, like, can escape from situations, and all the villains are very elaborate and colorful and
Hmm.
sensational. And, but yeah, it's just going to be a lot of cloak and dagger, creeping around corners, you know, James Bond action finale stuff. So yeah, definitely look forward to that.
Nice, nice. I'm looking
Mhm.
forward to seeing her save the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Articles. This one
Yeah.
looked really, really cool too.
hmm hmm So this one is already locked in actually. So one of the things we're trying to do, I mentioned before, the Afro Futures is about Black creative expression, right?
Mhm.
And I thought it would be ridiculous not to at least let artists vocalize their creative expression in some form of interview. So we have two articles in the mag. I'm sorry, we have three articles in the magazine. One of which is an interview with Gigi Murakami. Gigi's been very popular on Instagram. She's been giving a lot of people just insight into her process. She does a lot of manga, and
Mhm.
she considers herself a black mangaka, right? Which is basically, for lack of a better description, black manga artist is a mangaka, right?
Mhm.
And so, we just do like a fun interview with her where we just kind of like explore her creative process a little bit and just kind of talk to her about who she is as an artist. Um, we're also going to be doing an article about the All Negro Squad. I'm sorry, All Negro Comics #1, because it became, I'm to my surprise, discovered a lot of people don't know about that book, and that book came out in the
This is my
1940s.
first time hearing about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like my that book came out in the 1940s. It is, I hear a lot of people falsely claiming that Black Panther was like the first black superhero. He definitely was not. He's not even close to the first black superhero. And but instead of focusing on that, I want to focus on All Negro Comics, which was the earlier example of an independent comic that featured characters of color, but it was drawn by black people, written by black people. Like, this was a real like milestone in not just black entertainment, but also just comic books, period. And so we're going to just kind of explore the importance and significance of that as well. And then we also have another interview about AI that hopefully we can secure. It's kind of on the fence right now, but I'm hoping we can
Okay,
knock it out for the magazine as well.
nice.
hmm
Now, this is
Yeah,
where we get into like some more comics that are gonna come out as well.
yeah.
What's going on here? This looks
So,
like
mhm.
somebody's summoning an army or something.
so this is unfinished work by Mervyn McCoy. I won't reveal what this is,
Okay.
but yeah, this is one of the comics that is also going to be featured in the magazine. And so we have at least, I believe, five other stories besides the ones that I'm doing that are going to be in this magazine as well. The book's probably going to be about 100 pages, and we're really trying to give you like a an experience, right? And so by the end of it, just like a concept album, I really want you to feel that you've gotten a lot of variety, but you've went on a journey. And
Hmm.
so when I was talking to Mervyn about that, this is what kind of came out of that conversation. And so that's all I'll say about that. But you also can see some in the subsequent pages. You can also see some of the other artists that are also going to be featured in this.
Nice. Have you watched Jujutsu Kaisen?
I have not watched Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm
Okay,
very
because
familiar, but I
actually,
haven't watched it.
now that I think about it, this is so I don't know if you've seen the meme domain expansion, but this is giving me domain expansion
Oh,
vibes.
okay, all right. I'll have to look that up then. I'm not familiar. Again, I work for a distributor of comics, a manga, and all sorts of nerd shit. But so I've seen Jujutsu Kaisen all the time,
I
but
get
I
it.
haven't.
There's no, go
Uh,
ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, but I haven't fell down that rabbit hole yet. So
I mean, there's like I've talked to many people on this show about. There's so much media to consume right now.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
it felt like growing up, there was just a handful of anime that everybody was watching.
Oh
Now
yeah.
there's like two or three at a time every few months or so. But I mean,
hmm
it's great because there's never a shortage on something to watch.
Well, no, I think you're right. There was a point in time in the past where, we like. I mean, I know you're definitely younger than me, but I mean, when I was coming up, there were only a handful of channels you could watch. And largely that was true. Even with cable, we don't have as many cable channels then. We didn't have as many cable channels then as we do now.
Mhm.
And then with streaming on top of that, like, yeah, we didn't have things like Crunchyroll coming up. Like, it was, you basically caught anime on the Sci-Fi channel at like 10 a.m. in the morning, and maybe there was some Sailor Moon or something like that on during the weekdays. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least like when I say anime, I mean anime, and like not the stuff that was intended for an American audience, but animated in Japan. And then came and like was immediately brought over here, but the stuff that like legit was imported over here. So yeah, no, it's things are very different now, and like we're definitely spoiled. But some of what I'm trying to do is to bring back that rarity with this magazine. You know, that sense of like, you know, because I mean, truthfully, like I remember, this is a total tangent, but truthfully, I remember coming up and seeing stuff like Vampire Hunter D for the first time and seeing Akira for the first time and being like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like legit, like just being like, what is this? And I mean, it's a game changer, especially if like for a young mind. And partly what I'm trying to do here is I'm like, okay, at my age, when I saw that stuff, I definitely was not the age that I needed to be to see that stuff, right? But that stuff was formative and I think in a positive way. And I'm hoping that this magazine will do that also for somebody else at the end of the day. Part of the reason I'm making this 17 plus, like the magazine is supposed to be set for ages 17 and up, is because we know the truth. You know, if you're 14 or 15, man, and you see this thing and you're going to be like, this isn't for me, I want it. You know,
it's the truth. That's how it was with like Adult Swim, and when they were showing anime on there, it was like, I was in middle school, younger. Yeah, you're right. People want what they can't, what they're not supposed to have.
Right, and I mean that's really when I'm here to corrupt your children. I'm sorry, guys. I'm apologize right now, but I'm here to corrupt your children. Like I like in the same way that like Akira Toriyama corrupted your children. Like, you know what I mean? In the same way that Steven Spielberg corrupted us. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just or even like Die Hard or Predator. Like, you know, I know for a fact we watched those movies when we weren't supposed to. But they're burned into our memory because like we saw them at a very particular point in time. And I really hope that like at the end of the day, like I provide that for our readership, you know?
Because like those are like, I guess if you think about time travel, like those are fixed points in our timeline that like make us who we are.
Absolutely.
So like if you were to take any one of those away, then you fundamentally change who we are.
Absolutely.
Because like you were saying about the stuff we weren't supposed to be watching, big horror fan. I'm like 6, 7 years old watching Tales from the Hood and A Nightmare on Elm Street, and
bro, you know, let me tell you something. Like I was born in the 80s, right? Like I went to summer camp one year, and I want to say it must have been 1988. I went to summer camp or 1989 because I went to summer camp one year, and someone in their infinite wisdom decided that it was a good idea to show basically a bunch of 9-year-olds RoboCop.
oh wow.
And legit, dude, like watching, like you could not tell me that RoboCop wasn't a horror movie. You could not have told me that at that age. Like I don't think I actually ever watched that movie again until like I was about 18 or 19, and then I was like, oh, it's an action movie, you know. But there's just stuff in that movie that, like, as a 9-year-old, you're just like, oh my god, you know?
I mean, seeing some guy melt to death, like
right, exactly.
But here's the crazy part: they made it for adults, but they had toys for kids.
Let me tell you something, man. The 80s were wild. Like, to this day, I remember as a kid being like, there's Rambo toys? I don't think that's okay. And then, like, now I'm like, no, that actually was not okay that they're Rambo toys. Like, you want to talk about trying to, kind of brainwash people into the military-industrial complex. Let's tell this story. Let's take the story about this guy shooting a bunch of Afghanis in the 80s and glorifying it, and then make it into a cartoon for kids and then sell toys for it. So yeah, Rambo is another example of that. Actually, it's funny. Yeah, Rambo's not even wasn't originally that at all, but that's a whole nother conversation. But that's what it became. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, definitely let's get tangent over. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, let's get back to it. I will tangent. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I love tangents. You know, that's
Mm.
one thing that I love about not really having a structure with this. I just like letting things flow.
Yeah.
That's the best. That's how you get the best conversations.
Absolutely.
Now, what's
Mhm.
going on here?
So this is the last round, which has actually turned out to be the first comic that got finished. This is by an artist named Jeff Tolliver. Jeff wanted to write and draw something, and he said he had an idea. I told him that like it would be great if he did some sci-fi stuff because, you know, at the end of the day, this book is going to have a lot of genres. But I was looking at everything, and I was like, we only have 808, which is the sci-fi thing. So let's do like another sci-fi thing, you know.
Mhm.
And he gave me this kind of fun, cool, short little boxing story that has like a lot of pulp elements to it. A little bit of Baki the Grappler, I think, is a little bit in there too as well, and Mike Tyson's Punch Out too. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is a cool one. Like I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, he really delivered on this, and it looks great.
It really does. Like this guy has like a metal plate on his jaw, and it got punched off.
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, that's awesome.
Hmm. There you go. I think that's it.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Well, everything looks amazing. Is
Thanks,
there
man.
like a timeline for?
So the goal is to have this one Kickstarter in June, and you're going to be probably seeing if you follow me online at TJA Comics, you'll probably see a lot of rev up for that June date. Because I really want people to experience this. Truthfully, the Kickstarter probably will run for a month, maybe a little bit longer than a month, maybe like 45 days. But yeah, there will be ample opportunity to take advantage of this. Currently, I'm toying with the idea of we'll do the Kickstarter now, and we will actually send these out in February 2025. So it actually will be a couple of months in between, and that's not because we're not done. We actually got a lot of the book finished actually, but I kind of feel like dropping it on Black History Month is a good move. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Nice,
Hmm.
awesome. Well, I'll definitely be looking forward to it.
Thanks, man.
Um, with the popularity of comics and everything, and now people, taking the physical media, turning it into like putting it on the screen.
Hmm.
Do you think you might ever want to do that down the line?
You know what? I don't care about that. I got to be real with you, man.
Okay,
Like,
that's fair.
I working within the industry, I've seen, and I agree with these people, but I've seen a lot of chatter lately about maybe comics have been bending over a little bit too much for Hollywood, right?
Mm,
And looking around at the landscape, I'm just sort of like everybody wants to be the MCU,
hmm
but not everybody has a property that is MCU bound. Like, you know what I mean?
hmm
Like it's like that. I truthfully, there's probably only like maybe 3 or 4 things that actually really fits that model, and I would probably say DC, of course, they can do an expanded universe. Marvel, like I mentioned, and Star Wars, and they almost screwed that up. So, so, so yeah, I just like yeah, I think my idea, the concept here is that this is forward thinking. This is I talked a little bit about this in other podcasts, but the magazine is really about, we've been talking a lot over these last couple of years about diversity, right, and inclusion and like representation, and so and what that's supposed to look like, right. Specifically, we've been
hmm
talking about that, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to skip ahead, and we're going to get to the point where this is the future. This is what we're going to be doing from here on out. Like I'm going to bypass all this, like, all this other stuff, and just get right to it. And so jumping ahead and looking at the future, I think Hollywood is probably going to be too far behind this. You know what I mean?
hmm
And I'm really trying to develop something that can exist in a format and exist in a magazine, a comics format, and really embraces comics. You know what I mean? I'm looking at everything. Like truthfully, I'm big into like just counterculture stuff, and underground comics and stuff like that. Like I mentioned, I started from indie comics, of course, and a lot of this stuff is influencing this. Everything from old Spider-Man comics to the Fabulous Furry Freak Brothers to even the anti-marijuana comics and just the sensationalism of that stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, like, because like a lot of this stuff has roots in pulp. You know what I mean? Like
hmm
it's as roots in pulp fiction. Like they came from pulp novels and expanded into all this other stuff. And so I really want to embrace just the insanity of comic books, because I really think comics are best when they are just kind of fringe,
Mhm.
when they're on the outside. Even the Marvel DC stuff, I think that when that stuff is really rocking and rolling, it's when it's outside of mainstream taste.
Mhm.
And I know this works because what you really have seen over the last couple of years is the mainstream embrace these ideas that really are just fringe ideas by creators in the 60s and 70s, um, and just Hollywood made them accessible, and I don't even think they understand why it works sometimes,
Mhm.
but I think it's because of the unbridled imagination of a lot of those character creators from those particular eras. And for an audience member, it's just sort of like, I've never seen this before. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier about experiencing like RoboCop and whatnot for the first time. And so I want to bring that back to comics, because I feel like a lot of comics are kind of like movie pitches now, and I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't
Mm.
want to. I just don't want to limit myself by doing that.
No, no, I get that. You want your
Hmm.
stories to stay stories, not to be like, hey, I got a
I got
potential $1 billion movie right
right. Yeah,
here.
here's some IP for you. you know, Here,
Come
take this
on.
IP. You know, right? Like I just don't want to do that. Like I think that shit's lame. Like at this point, like I mean, I've never been that big into it, and here's the thing: I'm a huge movie guy. I love movies. You know what I mean? I went to school for filmmaking. But at the same time, I've probably loved comics even longer than that.
Mhm.
So this idea of making something that is very unique to the format is really important to me. And all the other creators, when I talk to them, I was actually talking to Nelson Blake a few weeks ago, and he told me like, okay, you're going to give me the script, and look, the first thing I sketch is going to be the crazy version. And he was warning me, like, the first thing I sketch is going to be the crazy version, but then I'll go back and do it. And I like told him, I was like, no, 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 I want the crazy version. I want the weird shit. Like let's do that instead. And so yeah, hold on, guys, because like yeah, we're really here to kick the doors off. That's a real thing.
Nice, nice. Well,
Hmm.
y'all, you've seen the artwork, like you know what's coming, so
Oh yeah, guys,
get ready.
get ready.
Get ready.
Absolutely.
All right, Troy. Well, I definitely want to ask you a few more nerdy stoner questions that
Yes,
I
please. Let's
didn't get
do
to
it.
ask you at the con,
Yes.
or just some new ones that I'm just trying to throw out there in general.
Hmm.
So you've heard of people, hashing it out, settling things with like a nice joint, pipe, stuff like that.
Yes, I have heard of this. Yes.
Who are a couple characters that you think need to hash it out, or could hash it out, I should say?
Could
Like
hash
who
it
do
out.
you like? Who do you think could honestly settle their differences? Just be like, you know what? Why are we fighting?
I feel like most superhero characters probably could benefit from that. They always have this like these traumas that they kind of hold on to for 80 plus years. And I mean, it's like it's a motivational force in why they do what they do, right? But there are definitely elements of, maybe if you gave Captain America a joint, he'd be okay for a little bit. You know,
Okay.
I feel like Captain America is such a tragic character. Like like he's like noble on the surface, but underneath, when you really look at what look at him as a character, you're like, this is kind of sad, you know. And so I'm like, yeah, give Captain America some lead. I don't think Batman will ever. I think if you give Batman,
That's right.
if you give Batman weed, like it's just not. You know what I mean? Like I just don't think it's Batman anymore. To be Batman has to be wound too tight. My favorite Batman are the Batman stories where he's just like wound way too tight, and like Robin and Alfred are like, bro, you need to chill. So um, beyond that, who else needs some outside of superhero comics, right? Who else needs to take a hit real quick? Um, Man, that's a good one. I mean, I think my answer before was that like I would smoke with the Cowboy Bebop cast, but you're asking me more
Mhm.
specifically, who do I think needs one? Um, I'm trying to think in terms of anime.
Oh, it could be whoever.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to run the look at. I'm
Oh,
just
I
thinking
get it.
of
I
like
get it.
the array of characters that are out there.
I get that.
Um, I feel like I feel like Space Ghost. I don't know why.
Ooh,
I don't know why.
that's a throwback. I like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know why I thought of
That's a
Space Ghost,
good
but I thought of
one.
Space Ghost. Who else? What
Imagine
am I?
being on his talk show.
Yeah,
Just
right,
passing it
exactly.
back and
Which his,
forth.
but by the way, his talk show clearly inspired by marijuana in some way, shape, or form. Like you can't tell me that it
I
wasn't.
mean, like the entire Adult Swim
The
lineup
entire Adult
was.
Swim lineup, yeah, absolutely. And then like I said, Adult Swim is definitely an influence here, right? Man, yeah, I'm trying to think of who else. I thought of Optimus Prime for some reason, and then I'm like, well, how could he smoke? I don't, would you put in his
I
tailpipe
mean,
or something?
we could extract it into like some oil.
Into some oil. That's true. Ah, see, there you go. There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Where there's a
Absolutely.
will, there's a way.
Well, there's a will, there's a way. So yeah, there you go. I guess those are my kind of my shitty. You know what? Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd needs to smoke some weed. He's another character just wound way too tight, and like, yeah, he needs to smoke some weed.
Do you have anybody else besides Batman who's like on the no go list?
A no-go list, man. Um, I feel like, yeah, I don't. I mean, Superman. I don't think he would be affected by weed, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he would be. Wolverine wouldn't be affected by weed. We've already established that when he was smoking cigars and drinking, that like it didn't really do anything to him. So yeah, I guess it would be my answer. Yeah, those would be my kind of sort of answers.
Nice. Well, hey, I like them,
Yeah.
especially with that Space Ghost throwback.
Yeah, there you go.
Man, I wish they would bring that back. That
The
was a good show.
Space Ghost Coast to Coast. Yeah, that was a good one.
I was
Well,
too young to really appreciate it.
hmm it's a wonderfully bizarre thing. Like I think that Adult Swim, of course, Toonami, Liquid Television. I don't know if you remember that. That was another thing. That was kind of like Adult Swim right before Adult Swim, and it was on
Okay.
MTV. I mentioned Heavy Metal Magazine, 2000 AD, since I mentioned Judge Dredd. These projects that really are a collection of storytellers coming together, and whether it's like pre-made stuff that's been pre-made and imported, or stuff that's like new concepts being added in, like all that stuff is kind of an influence for Afro Futures in a lot of ways. So
Okay.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. Definitely, please let people know where they can find you, where they can find information about the comic. Definitely want to get the information about the Kickstarter as well as like a lot of the artist info. I just want to share as much as I can about this amazing thing.
yeah, So you can hang out with me at TJA Comics. That's pretty much Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. But also be sure to go to RexCo-Comics.com. Excuse me, RexCo-Comics.com, and just kind of explore some of the stuff we have up on there now. We've been doing some really interesting stuff. Of course, Fight of the Century I mentioned earlier, which was my our MMA comic about. It's actually the inverse of what we've been talking about, which is just about an evil pharmaceutical company that takes over Brazil, and basically all the martial arts guys are hopped up on drugs except for one man, and he has to fight these in the octagon. He has to fight these MMA guys who are all kind of in some way, shape, or form foot soldiers for this pharmaceutical company.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a fun one, and that was our first Kickstarter. It's been a little bit slow going, partially because of life stuff, but also because we've been getting other projects since then. But it's still very much a reality. And also on the website, the free MF Doom comic is very much still free. And if you're an MF Doom fan, definitely check it out. We also did a motion comic for it on our YouTube. And then you can also pick up the Chuck D Presents Apocalypse 91, which is the Public Enemy book I was talking about. And in the near future, you can also pick up Oddities, Discords, and B-Sides, ODB, Lyrical Ruckus in the City, which went to Kickstarter back in November and will be in stores this November. So it'll be in our shop probably around the same time. And then of course, 808 stickers are on the website as well. Because that's also a big part of our promotion, is just kind of getting those characters and getting this imagery out there. So definitely check that out as well. RexCo-Comics.com, and just hang out with me at TJA Comics as well. And just when you go to RexCo-Comics, just click on all the social media buttons.
Nice. Oh, are we gonna see you at any cons in the future, like BlurCon or anything?
I'm working that out right now. I just got the call from BlurredCon. I wasn't expecting it, and it kind of threw me for a loop a little bit. Truth be told, is partially why I'm considering running the Kickstarter a little bit longer, just so we can get people to kind of see this thing in real life and pre-order it, because the reactions to it have been so great. So yeah.
Nice. Well, hey, I hope to see you there.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, guys, make sure you go and check out the Kickstarter, check out Troy, check out all the artists. Just check it all out because, like I said, you're gonna love what's coming.
Mm-hmm.